Life is inherently not easy, and this is even more true for people living in China. Let's check the following videos to see how difficult Chinese residents' life is in some aspects, including eating, housing, COVID testing, and the authenticity of the information. Eating. Violent storms blow away food stalls. On July 10th, Hefei City, Anhui Province, encountered strong convective weather. The video shows violent storms blowing iron sheds away. Many open-air food stalls suffer heavy losses. Residents, including food stall owners and diners, succumb to the erratic weather. The sellers quit their business while the customers cannot finish their meals. All of them rush to flee the site, avoiding the storm. A netizen comments that stupid humans don't know why they are in trouble. Another says that it is the wrath of God. Housing. Woman cries over unfinished buildings and wants to jump off the building. Unfinished or rotten tail buildings are common in China. They indicate the projects that have started but were forced to suspend for some reason. There is no electricity and running water in these buildings. Besides, the elevators and sewage systems don't function. According to a survey by Tencent this year, more than 45% of homebuyers in mainland China suffer from rotten tail building problems. The video shows the misery of a female homebuyer of Nanning Zhongang project, Nanning. She is crying bitterly on the unfinished building she bought. So much money has been poured into purchasing a house, and now in desperation, she wants to jump off the building. A netizen says that this is true, and there are really many unfinished buildings in Nanning. Another even posts a video showing the jaw-dropping moment that high-rise buildings in China are being demolished. He implies that this is the destiny of rotten tail buildings. The demolition process has wiped away people's dreams of owning a home. COVID testing. Residents in Jiangsu resist the storm to keep a place in the line. According to Xinhua, Jiangsu authorities officially announced on July 11th that there is still strong convective weather within the province. July to September is an active typhoon period. It is essential to prevent its adverse effects on personal safety, transportation, outdoor operations, and power supply. The video shows on the same day, citizens must engage in COVID testing amid a severe storm in Lianyungang, Jiangsu. All of them are sitting down in line, trying to use umbrellas to cover them from the heavy rain and strong winds. People tend to comply with the COVID testing regulation. Authenticity of information. Gas explosion in Jilin leaves cars overturned, but no casualties. On July 11th, an explosion took place at a 4-story hotel facing the street in Zhonghai Huating Commercial Street, Jingyue District, Changchun City, Jilin Province. The video shows the explosion heavily damaging the first 2 floors of the hotel, as well as nearby and opposite buildings. Some cars at the accident site were turned upside down by the explosion. The local authorities say the blast caused no injuries. The reason for the explosion was unknown. However, some netizens expressed their doubt about the information. Some argue that even cars were overturned, and the authorities report no casualties. In the end, there is no way to check the authenticity of the news.
The United States has been complaining about Europe not shouldering their burden in terms of security. And then all of a sudden you have this situation where America knew full well, we were well advised, even people in the administration have admitted that if you go into Ukraine, you're asking for a war with Russia. So the war with Russia, what has it yielded? It has yielded a renewed effort, a renewed commitment by Europe to put 2.5% from each of their countries and expanding it into this new NATO. And this NATO is not only concerned about Russia, now they're reaching across into the Asia Pacific. So in essence, what you have is the US has been able to successfully transfer its role as policeman of the world to NATO. And in essence, having Europe pay either a half or 2/3, depending on how you want to look at it, of the cost. This is a dream for the military-industrial complex of the United States, also the war hawks.
We have seen the occupation of the entirety of East Syria after the jihadi proxy war backed by NATO states failed to overthrow the government in Kiev. We continue to see problems in Iraq years after the U.S. occupation of the country, and then NATO states, non-U.S. NATO states moving in, to provide backup after the overthrow of the government there. We see the failed expeditionary 20-year occupation of Afghanistan destabilization across the entirety of the Middle East and the Mediterranean world. Of course, NATO is an aggressive threat, and now they're shifting their focus to the Pacific, putting China and the Chinese people directly in their targets, really just in pursuit of global hegemony. So, of course, Russia sees a legitimate threat, and where they see a real strategic threat to their interests, as they saw in Ukraine with the de facto NATOization and the US and the UK building military bases in Ukraine, they will take action to defend themselves. And it must be said, the people of East Ukraine that were suffering under a regime bombings and attacks for 8 years as well.
我们重点检验新型车载火炮在各种复杂陌生地域，最短时间内完成行军状态、战斗状态相互转换，并顺利摧毁目标的快打快撤能力。
我们在高海拔条件下，通过设置各种复杂情况，组织野外陌生地域新型火炮远程机动和实弹演练，积累了大量高原射击数据，全面检验了火力毁伤效能，为下步用好新装备打下了坚实基础。
Минобороны России отслеживает и фиксирует пофамильно всех прибывших на Украину для участия в боевых действиях иностранных наемников.
يعني هم جايين بلا مؤاخذة يعدلوا علينا، يسحب قواته من سوريا، يسحب قواعده من سوريا ويتركنا احنا واسرائيل. اسرائيل هي نعرف نتعامل مع اسرائيل.
والتاريخ اثبت هذا الشيء، يعني هو في له مصلحه تتواجد، ما في له مصلحه تتركه وتمشي. شلون يعني ما تهتم باي دوله اخرى ولا باي مصلحه اخرى الا مصالحها. واكبر دليل هو عندك بالخليج، مع الخليج متواجدين بالخليج، يمتصون كل خيرات الخليج من النفط والمال
جايز مشان زعزعة المنطقة وسرق ونهب وهالشيء هذا كله، وهي اللي سوت كل الغلاء وكل شيء والمازوت والمي، يعني كثير شغلات سوت هي أمريكا. نحن بالأساس كنا أولي قبل مرتاحين مبسوطين ما في شيء، كلنا متعايشين مع بعض والحمد لله، بس أمريكا خربت كل شيء.
معهد مراقبين الفنيين.
أول شيء محتل دخل بطريقة غير شرعية، ثانيا عم ينهبون خيرات البلد، النفط والزراعة، دمرونا. اليوم خبز بلدنا ما في، نفط اليوم ما عندنا بالبلد، اليوم سياراتنا واقفة لا بنزين ولا مازوت، فأي تقدم. هم بالأساس تدمير ممنهج للبلد، تدمير للشباب،
وهي تعمل على محاربة الإرهاب، وهي الإرهاب نفسه. يجب أولا خروجها من سوريا ليتم محاربة الإرهاب بعد هذا الأمر. لذلك وجوده هو إرهاب بحد ذاته، وهو احتلال بحد ذاته،